Never fear of missing out by clicking that subscribe button and becoming another member of the Babylonian family. Hey there Babylonians, my name is Songs of Rays and welcome to the first Devastator build that we've got going for you. And today we're going to be calling it Vlad the Impaler because why would you need anything else in terms of offense apart from the skill Impale? Now, if you're like me and when you first saw the Devastator announced for Outriders and you saw the Impale skill with the fact that that spike goes straight through the skull or straight through the body for most enemies when you get the killing blow, I just fell in love with this class and it just struck me as so interesting and just so different, so out there. Why wouldn't you want to use this skill? Now, I understand that everyone has their reservations when it comes to Impale because obviously in endgame it's a bit more time focused and Impale can actually make you suffer a little bit when it comes to times, but I like to think that if you can make Impale strong enough that if it's going to be dealing so much damage that it just wipes enemies out in seconds, then you can afford to be able to spend those little extra seconds of just enjoying the animation that's going on. So let's get into it, let's have a look at the build and let's see what I have brought to you today. So we're going to start it off with the fact we're going to go with skills because Impale is such a big part of this build, why wouldn't we? So obviously we need Impale on there, and Impale is such a good skill. Like I said before, it does kind of get let down a little bit, but select a target to interrupt their skills, inflicts bleed, and also deals a massive amount of damage. And if the damage is lethal, the enemy gets impaled, granting powerful bonuses to armor and health regen for allies for 9 seconds. Now, it's very underestimated as to how good this actually can be. This is basically our sustainability. This is why we don't run Golem. We don't need it because we'll be surrounded by so many enemies that we literally will have so much health we're unkillable. We've then gone for more of a support role with the other two skills because we want to support Impale itself. So we've gone for Gravity Leap, which is for movement to be able to help us get around, but also, as you'll see in the mod slots, it'll also help us deal extra anomaly damage, and also Endless Mass, where this also inflicts bleed, which is awesome because we need that for our Impale to be able to do as much damage as possible, and it also sucks in a bunch of enemies as well, which makes it easiest for us to be able to use Impale on them. So everything's all good there, everything's all pretty much standard. Cooldowns are a bit on the high end with some of them. I mean, I know you can get Earthquake down to about like 6 or 7 seconds cooldown, so it is a bit longer than that, but the damage will more than make up for it, and as you'll have seen in the first clip when I've shown you, it definitely can sustain and be able to, well, pump out those numbers that you're expecting. So moving on from there, we're going to have a look at the gear. So what have we got special here? So the guns themselves, I highly recommend that you have Fortress on both of them, but it's up to you how you kind of run this. So I've gone for a Funeral Pyre so I can have a Shadow Comet. This gives me a little bit of extra damage from the mod of Shadow Comet, just dealing with quite a few enemies. You can easily replace that with another Moaning Winds, so if you were to go for a Death Shield with a Moaning Winds combination, I've only ever had one single Animoire drop across my whole game, which is obviously what you can see in the build that's going to be coming up. So I haven't been able to find a separate one to be able to scrap it in and be able to get the mod on all my characters, so I refuse to be able to scrap this one for the time being there, because that's literally the only one I've got. So I've gone for Funeral Pyre, Shadow Comet, Fortress. And as for the Animoire itself, obviously Moaning Winds, and then we've changed it to Fortress as well to be able to deal that extra damage. Now, what I found was really, really nice was the mods, I believe, are actually based on anomaly damage. The reason why I think this is because when I was ramping myself up and getting all these extra damage to anomaly and resistance piercing and all that kind of thing, I was watching Moaning Winds hit to almost 3 mil in one single activation, and I was quite surprised as to how quite quickly that really ramped up. I mean, obviously I know I'm doing extra damage to targets that are inflicted with bleed, so that plays a massive part. I've got armor mods that also do that for bleed as well, but we've also got ones that do multipliers for anomaly power, and yeah, I think that's going to be the main kicker. So it complements really, really well with this build, and I think that's understated. But yeah, if you can get Moaning Winds on 3 weapons, you'll easily put out anywhere between like 9 mil damage in just such a short amount of time that elites and any kind of enemies will not be bothering you whatsoever. So we're going to look at the gear now, the actual armors as well. So we've gone for a 3-piece in Seismic Commander, and so we're starting with the helmet. Now this gives us Ultimate Impaler as standard, where the skill can be activated 2 more times before triggering the cooldown, so that easily ramps us up to 3 activations, which is awesome. Unstoppable Force is what I've gone for there, because in the skill tree we're going to be getting 30% our resistance piercing just as standard, so that means we get a nice 15% bonus to our anomaly power, and I do think that's a nice enough boost over most of the mods that are in this game. Then we've gone for the chest piece of the Seismic Commander, so therefore we've got Palisade, where the skill can strike 2 additional targets, so now we're instantly hitting for 3 enemies at a time every single time, so 3 times 3, we're now up to 9 targets before we even do our cooldown. And then we've got an Impaler, where the skill can be activated 1 more time, so that brings us up to the grand total of 4, so therefore we're now hitting 12 targets with that before we go into cooldown, which is awesome. And then we've gone for Seismic Commander leg armor, so we've got a nice 25% damage increase to enemies afflicted with bleed. And then Rivers of Blood, which allows our Impale to have an extra 50% skill damage to enemies that have been afflicted with bleed as well. And then essentially that, with the set bonus where we're doing another 50% damage towards enemies inflicted with bleed, is why we're seeing the Impale hit for so hard. Honestly, without looking more into the maths of the game, to be able to see that we're doing an extra 25% to targets with Tainted Blood, we're doing an extra 50% with Rivers of Blood, we're doing an extra 50% with Seismic Commander, all these kind of things just really ramp it up massively, and it's such a good sight to see, especially when you see those numbers coming out. As for the gloves, I've gone for a Marshal's Gauntlet. I mean, it's not ideal because we need more anomaly power to be able to boost ourselves up, but I found this was the best way to be able to get the mods that I wanted to be able to get this to work. So we've gone for double jump, so Gravity Leap can be activated twice before triggering the cooldown. This really helps with the next mod that you're going to see on the boots, but that's really quite nice. Sharpened Spike, so that the skill does even more damage just as standard, so obviously that then gets fed into all the multipliers as well. And last but not least, we've got the Marshal's Foot Gear, and the reason we've gone for that is because the Tier 3 mod of Despair is just so damn good for anomaly builds, where enemies within the damage radius of Gravity Leap will receive 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. I've also paired this with High Intensity, where Endless Mass will also will have anomaly damage scaled against targets affected by it by another 33%. So all in all, how it should work is you run up to a bunch of enemies, you use your Endless Mass, that brings them all together. You then use your 2 jumps for your Gravity Leap to be able to hit all enemies that are nearby and affected, so they're all still quite grouped up quite close together, and they're already afflicted with bleed, so you're doing extra damage on top of that with the Seismic Commander kind of set piece, and then you finish them off with the Impale. And that one single use of Impale will finish off pretty much any kind of weak targets, and in some cases we'll actually finish off an elite as well with one single use. And the amount of health regen and the amount of armor that you're going to get from that, and the standard healing as well from all the other things that you're going to be killing with on top of it from using the Gravity Leap, and it's just massive. You'll also need to throw in your melee in there as well. I highly recommend that you do this sprint version so that you have the AoE. This allows you to hit more enemies, and you'll get to see why when we go into the class tree. So the class tree is basically a standard set for the Seismic Shifter, so your basic bottom tree. I have amended it slightly because in terms of bleed, we're not looking to be able to get our health back. We're not interested in that because that's where our Impale kind of comes in and be able to help us out with that. Basically, we've gone for as much anomaly power as possible, as much cooldown reduction as possible as well, and then we've started moving from the middle tree and branching out from there. So we actually have extra health, extra armor. We've also gone for strong armor of the anomaly because after using your class melee skill, increase your resistance piercing by 15% for each enemy hit for 10 seconds. Now, the reason why that is good is because we've got that tier 3 mod where we get an extra 50% of whatever our resistance piercing is thrown back into our percentages for our anomaly power. So essentially, the more people that you hit with your AoE melee, essentially you're getting 7.5% extra anomaly power for each one that's hit. And that can actually stack up really nicely, especially when you've grouped them all together with the Endless Mass. Honestly, it's just so good. We've then also gone straight up for the cooldown for Perpetual Motion, so that's our Endless Mass and our Gravity Jump and all that. It cools down a little bit quicker. And Into the Fray is kind of nice, I suppose, because it increases your damage mitigation by 15% for 10 seconds after you've used one of your kinetic skills. So kind of gives you a little bit of survivability for the fact that you've just jumped straight into there with all those enemies. So all in all, I'm very, very happy with how this class tree works. I'm very happy with the gameplay that's in the background. I do wish that the times could be a little bit quicker, but I do know that Devastators are a bit limited when it comes to that. So I'm not expecting much when it comes to it, but it was definitely a lot of fun to be able to play this build. Now, some people are going to ask, what are the benefits for using this class, Vlad the Impaler, over any of the other anomaly power, seismic, bleed kind of variants that are out there for Devastator. Now, my point to you is the fact that people overlook Impale. Impale is actually a really strong ability, does a lot of damage, all the mods really work in its favour, but you've then also got the additional armour and health regen, which then goes to your allies. This is really nice for supporting them, to be able to, if you're having a bit of a, like your team's having a bit of a tough time when it comes to doing some expeditions, or you're defending the plate, for example, then this can be a game changer. On top of that, if you look on the fact that we've done the combat medic build, health regen comes from enemies that have been impaled. If you're able to impale as many enemies as physically possible with this build, which you can easily have like 5 of them grouped together, it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility. Anyone that's got the cycle equipped on their build will see a massive increase in their damage. Like I said, they're also getting armor on top of it, but the health regen will then feed back into their weapon damage, and then they'll be able to kill a lot quicker. So this works out quite nicely as like a support build in that sense. And it also works nicely for, because that's just for firepower builds, then it also feeds into anomaly power as well. So where your Endless Mass and where your Gravity Leap are allowing extra anomaly power to be dealt with, this could be really nice for your pyro teammates, and will be able to help you clear those levels much quicker. It's combine that with the buff that's coming in for Endless Mass, where you're actually able to damage the enemy that you've turned into that block of stone to be able to suck towards the center point. It's just going to be insane. I do expect this build to get better when that happens, because you're no longer waiting for the Endless Mass to finish to then actually hit them. I wish they would do something similar to that for Impale, so you can actually finish enemies off a bit quicker, but at the end of the day, this is a fun build. It is also a hidden support build for those factors alone, but it can do work by itself. I guess that leaves me to be able to wrap up and say, well, because I'm going to get the question of which do you prefer, Earthquake or Impale. Now, Earthquake is a lot quicker to be able to run in expeditions, because obviously there's no Impale animation that you need to worry about, there's no delay or anything like that. As soon as you kill someone with an Earthquake, they're done, that's it. So Earthquakes are a lot of fun. They're probably more designed for the lesser damage towards smaller enemies rather than going after elites, because then you're relying on that cooldown to be able to then go through another wave of obviously hitting them so many times. It's a lot of fun, it's entertaining to watch, but there's something about the Impale that just makes me want to actually use it. Now, I understand that my times are going to suffer a little bit, but I'm going to get personal enjoyment from watching the Impale animation itself, and then I'm thinking about the damage numbers. Now, in the gameplay that you're going to have seen in the background, 2.5 mil per Impale is not out of the question, and then you think about the fact that I can hit 3 targets with that 4 times, you're now looking at 30 mil in just one cooldown, and that's just too good to pass up in my books. That's insane in terms of anomaly builds, in anomaly power. You're starting to rival that of a pyro, but obviously in a bit more focused kind of way. So I'm personally biased. I'm purely going to go for Impale, but that's not to say that the Earthquake build is lesser or anything like that. It's just different. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed Vlad the Impaler with me, and I do genuinely hope that we can now start to see some Devastator love. As soon as that buff goes through about Endless Mass, this instantly becomes a lot better because you're now not waiting for a second kind of immune phase for the enemies, and it just leaves that of Impale to be looked at next. And I do hope that People Can Fly can fix that, because I feel like that's the main reason why most of the community tried to stay away from Impale. The damage has always been there, but it's just a case of why am I stood around waiting 5 to 10 seconds for an animation just to finish when I've clearly killed all the enemies that are in the area. So fingers crossed that gets sorted at some point soon, and then hopefully this build will take off even more than what it currently has. But I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've learned something useful with ourselves. If you did, do not forget to drop us a like and a subscribe, and drop us a comment just to let us know what you think of the build. Is this something that you're planning to take out in an expedition? Is this something you're looking to be able to do some group play with? Maybe 3 Devastators with this exact same build can just wreck house. I don't know. I'm looking forward to being able to give that a go. I know we've got a couple of Devastators in our Discord, so maybe I'll actually offer them to be able to take them up on that kind of offer. The video you're going to see at the end is purely about the 200 sub giveaway that finished as of Monday, the 26th of July. So I recorded the video just to show that it was completely random, and you can enjoy to see who actually won that and how we ended up going about that in the end. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed. Keep yourself safe, keep yourself well, and I'll see you all on that next video. What's going on, Babylonians? It's me, Songs of Rays, and like I promised, we are now doing the 200 sub giveaway. Now, I did mention there was going to be 2 winners, so the first winner will get £20, euros, dollars, whatever currency they are. Obviously, they're choosing for their store, and then the second winner would also get 10 instead of 20 for the value. So, what we're going to do is just to be able to make it simple, because we weren't expecting the growth. We thought it was going to be a lot more simpler than this to be able to do this kind of giveaway. I've numbered the videos from 1 to 17 that have been released in the time frame that we said, so from the 28th of June all the way up to the 26th of July 2021. So I've given them a number. What we're going to do is we're going to put that into a random number, and then we'll take all the original comments that were from that video, and we'll put that into a random number, and we'll use that to determine who is going to basically win. Now, there are a few caveats to this, and it's nothing really to do with most of you that are watching this. It's just purely the fact that I know which of the personal accounts are for me, Danwaz, and for Benzo. So if we do roll one of those, then we will re-roll it for that video, and we'll keep going until eventually we've got people that aren't actual Babylon members that will be winning this giveaway. It might not happen, but just as a precaution. So what we'll do is, just to give you an idea that this is a completely random number generator. I've typed it into Google, random number generator. I have no control over this whatsoever. So if I click on generate, literally it will generate a new number every single time between 1 and 10. That's how it works. So we've got 1 to 17. So 17. I tell you what, we'll do the top prize first, I think, because that means there's more chance for everyone to be able to win it. So between 1 and 17, that'll choose our video, and then we'll take the number that's from the comments and we'll put that in there as well, and then we'll use that to determine what comment is going to be from there. So in that case, let's generate. Cool. So the first number is 7. So the first winner is going to be from that video, and that had 7 comments. So if we change that to 1 and 7, then the third comment is who's going to win that. So if we pop out of here and we go to content, we go to the 8th of July patch notes, which is this one. Looking for the third comment down, that would be Curse Love. Perfect. So Curse Love, if you're watching this, I will drop you a comment on there to let you know that you've won the €20, £20, $20, whatever card that is that you're after. We'll ask you to be able to get in touch. Just show us that you're subscribed onto the channel, and yeah, we'll be able to get that all sent away for you. In fact, do you know what? Let's do it on video. So we already have a winner. In that case, you can see that has gone on there, and hopefully we'll hear from Curse Love. So what we'll do is we'll do the lesser prize that was on for that. So once again, we are doing 1 to 17. And that is a 14, so we are looking at 7 changes that will need to be made, and there is only 7 comments on that as well. And let's go again. And it is number 4. So let's have a look as to who won that. So 7 changes. So that was a Danoise video. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is Martin Chan. So congratulations, Martin Chan. You are our runner-up for the prize. So I'll drop you a reply on there as well. And if you can just get in touch with us, in fact I believe we can already see that you are already publicly subscribed. So what we'll do is we'll get you to join the Discord, we'll have a little bit of communication, we'll sort out that prize for you this week, and we'll make sure we can get that across to you. So thank you very much for everyone that has taken part. That does not mean this will be the end of giveaways going forward. We will be looking to do more things coming in the future, especially with donations that we receive on the stream. So we'll be finding some way to be able to inject that back into the community. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for being subscribers to Babylon, and hopefully we can make some more content for you coming in the future. As always, keep yourself safe, keep yourself well, and I'll see you all on the next video.